cause I did it my way, nothing y'all can say. In this life or the next one, watch me, I'ma be the best. I am what I am today, cause I did it my way, nothing y'all can say.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Danny Brown with The Deal. Thank you again for tuning in. If you like what you hear, please leave us a 5-star review and comment. We appreciate it. Everyone counts. This week's guest, serial entrepreneur, Fred Krueger. Yes, you heard the name right, Fred Krueger. He actually came in over the holidays to interview with us. It was Friday the 13th, so we had a good laugh about that. But Fred has exited out of 9 startups. Ladies and gentlemen, 9, not 1, not 2, 9. And his new company, EOS Lynx, is a blockchain with a wallet. There's games, there's coins. He's going to break down the blockchain world, the crypto world. The first week from launching, they've had over 50,000 users, which is gangbusters, I imagine. And the next 30 days, it's going to be new metrics and new records. I'd really watch out for this. EOS Lynx, Fred Krueger, brilliant guy, PhD mathematician out of Stanford before he started his tech career, and really cool, fun guy to hang with. Known him a long time. Hope you enjoy this as much as I did. And again, if you like what you hear, 5-star review, leave us a comment. Thank you.
Welcome to The Deal with Danny Brown. I have a special guest, Fred Krueger, here on Friday the 13th, no less, but we'll let that one go. But I'm fired up to have you. I've wanted to have this conversation about crypto and blockchain many times with you at the gym, but we're going to have it today right here. But just to give you a little background, Fred and I know each other through my brother-in-law, Evan Rifkin. I know Fred's a serial entrepreneur. He's exited 9 companies, 10 companies, 500 million. He's done very well in the tech space, startup space. The ones I know were iWin and Traffic Marketplace, TagWorld, and then there's a bunch of others that were before my time. But you're a Stanford PhD mathematician.
Yeah.
So you know your numbers. Brilliant guy. You're not a liberal arts idiot like me and most of these other guys. You've actually done something with your life. But welcome to The Deal.
Thank you.
And thanks for making it out. Before we jump into the crypto world, why don't we talk about, Fred, how you got into tech in the first place? You were a mathematician.
Well, so I started out on Wall Street. So you may not know this, but
I didn't know that.
I started out on Wall Street as a trader.
Oh, there you go.
I traded for 6 years.
I didn't even know that.
I was an arbitrage trader at Salomon Brothers under the infamous John Goodfriend and John Merriweather.
Is this New York?
New York.
Yeah.
So I was in if you ever read the book Liar's Poker.
Yes, of course. Famous book.
Well, that was my world. I worked on the arbitrage desk at Salomon Brothers. And we played Liar's Poker, and I'm intimately familiar with that crew.
So this was right out of school? Or?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was right out of, I did my PhD, and then I did one little stint in San Francisco for a company called Bechtel.
Yeah.
Which is a huge engineering construction company for a year, and then got recruited onto Wall Street. And so I became one of the first kind of quant traders there. There was probably 10 of us there that, had PhDs at most of them from the East Coast, most from MIT.
Right.
And there was me and this other guy from Stanford. And
wow.
And so basically, I traded for 6 years, did well trading, and in 1992, I wanted to leave trading. I was kind of completely burned out, and felt I was an old man.
Got it.
And so I said, I'm going to do something different. And so my brother, who was in software, said, hey, why don't we do a software company together? And I'm like, okay, you have any ideas? And he said, yeah, I have this idea for this medical software. So we said, okay, it sounds like risky, but whatever, we'll do it.
Just try it.
We just tried it, right? And then we abandoned the medical software about 1 month in. And I said, this is just too ridiculous. Do you have any other ideas? And he said, well, I'm going to show you some other stuff that I developed while in my previous company. And he showed me one thing, which was this paint program, and I was like, "Well, that's interesting."
Painting, color,
painting on the computer, right?
Okay.
You know, and I go, I wasn't aware of all this painting and photo manipulation stuff, and he was like, it's starting to get big. And so I said, well, I think that's interesting. I'd like to do something like that for this new thing that's coming out, Microsoft Windows.
Got it. So
right?
we're talking late 80s, early 90s? What is this?
So we're talking about, Windows 3.0 has just launched, right? Now, if you know the history of computing, there really was no Windows before 3.0. There was one, was a complete terrible thing that didn't go anywhere. 2 did go absolutely nowhere. And 3 was the one that started to look like Windows, okay? And people were starting to like get interested in this thing. There were starting to be books on Windows and stuff. So I was like, wow, we could get a paint program on Windows. That would be cool, Yeah. And so...
But this is still pre-internet.
Pre-internet,
yeah. Okay, but it's desktop
shrink wrap software.
Okay.
You'd buy the software in Egghead and so on. So we sat, and in 1992, from 1992 to 1993, we were just 2 of us in a room. We coded this thing up, and I remember, and we came up with some really innovative things in this software that today, even today, are so if you ever use Adobe Photoshop,
of course.
Okay, so you know the concept of layers in Adobe Photoshop?
Of course. Yeah.
I invented that.
Holy crap, Fred. Drop the mic. We're done.
No, so that was our invention, right? So that was our invention. We invented layers, and we had this product, and it was called Fauve Matisse, and we showed it in 1993 or 1994, and we had layers in Matisse, right? And everybody was like, what are these things? These are incredible.
Yeah.
And, we showed it at SIGGRAPH here in Anaheim next to Disneyland. And we had this little 10 by 10 booth that we shared with another company. And the first person stopping by my booth was Nathan Myhrvold, the CTO of Microsoft. And his first comment was, how much? And I said, $99. And he goes, not the software, the company.
And that's where it starts.
True fact, okay? True fact. And then...
oh, my God.
And then the second guy coming off my booth was Alvy Ray Smith, who is the founder of Pixar.
Okay.
And he had co-invented layers with me the exact same day. And he's like, you came up with this idea too? And I'm like, yep.
So he separately
came up with the same idea and released it at the same trade show.
Yeah.
So we both had these things. We called them objects. Can't remember what they called them. Something like objects or smart things.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we both were very hot for a little bit. Microsoft ended up buying Alvy Ray's company.
Not yours.
I sold mine to Macromedia.
Okay.
So, which was at that point, the king of this kind of stuff with Adobe, right?
And how much longer was it from that trade show to
the
selling
acquisition?
The company?
I think the acquisition was about a year and a half later. Okay, so we actually went through a whole nother product called XRes.
Okay.
We moved to San Francisco. We started signing some deals and everything, and then finally, we sold the company to Macromedia, and it was a great exit, and we had no venture capital. Okay.
Incredible.
So
you didn't have to split it a bunch of ways
with my brother.
So did your brother have a software? You said software company, but you guys were coding. So what?
So we were coding. I mean, we literally bought a book, How to Code for Windows.
I was going to say, how did you learn to code? You were at Stanford. You're a math PhD, but that's not coding.
Right. So
was there even coding?
No. I went to Borders Bookstore. I remember it, and I bought a book called How to Write C++ for Microsoft Windows.
Oh my God!
And there was 5 of them. I just picked one. I said, okay, this will work. And then I said, let's buy all 5. Okay, and then we just bought a bunch of books. And we said, okay, this Windows thing's coming out. Here's some books on how to code it. Let's write some software.
Oh my God!
And we did, and we wrote this best-selling piece of software.
That's incredible.
And it's sort of like there's a lot of people who say they can do this, but not a lot of people who actually do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who talk, not a lot of people who do.
Who actually do.
So literally it was like we just sat in a room and did it for a year, and we came out with a product and people loved the product, So
what an incredible experience with your brother, no less.
Yeah, with my brother. So, it was a great product. People still to this day remember that product. Okay. And that was almost 30 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was that good of a product.
Amazing. Well,
So, and then, and that was sort of the beginning.
that was the first company.
Yeah, that was the beginning of company. You do a company, and then you sell the company, and it's always a little. It's always it's a little bittersweet when you sell it because number one, you get a bunch of money.
Yeah. How long does it take from here's the acquisition, it's papered up,
Yeah.
and now I'm wiring money. I don't know if it was wiring money yet.
Yeah, it
but
was wire money.
how long is it before boom, the money hits your account? Is it immediate?
Well,
Or do you
for
get-
that transaction or in general, right?
Let's go with that transaction, and then we
that
can-
transaction was probably about standard. I would say about a 3-month close.
Yeah. So 3 months later,
not too dissimilar to a real estate transaction.
Yeah. So 3 months later, chunk of money.
2 months later, chunk of money, and then you have a bunch of guys from Morgan Stanley call you.
Got it. And then what? You're out, or
And then,
do you stay on?
Then I stayed on for a bit. Not that long. I didn't end up working well for somebody else. My brother stayed longer. I immediately got in a fight with my supervisor.
That didn't go over well with the guys at Morgan Stanley and who knows what.
Yeah, no, it was just some random people at Macromedia. There was a woman who basically, I guess her previous job was ordering the coffee machine or something, and now she was put in charge of the whole project, and
So
it didn't work very well.
the hustle there is just unbelievable that you guys did that. But I got to think, going back to that time period, the fact that you guys just figured out how to code, that couldn't have been a common situation. Not too many guys or gals could have.
Everybody can do it.
Really?
It's a question.
I can't.
You
Still
probably
can't.
you probably could if your life depended on it.
Probably not. I'd be a dead
No,
man.
I think the thing where most people don't. I think it's a question of attrition, right? So everybody starts things, but they also stop things, right? So you'll find that there's people who work on something really hard for 3 weeks, or
they're done. Burnt.
They're done. They burn out, and so one of the things I think people ask me why I've been successful. I stick with things longer than most people, much longer, and I think that ends up being probably the key determinant in these software companies in particular is you got to have a stick to it kind of attitude.
And a very common thread for a lot of the guests that have had massive success in different industries. It's the stick-to-itiveness.
You got to
the
stick
mental
to it,
toughness
and,
to grind.
kind of our mutual, Evan, your brother-in-law, a close friend of mine,
who has a very strong opinion on going from 2 children to 3 children and how much that changes your life.
Right, but he's a very tenacious guy.
For
you know
sure.
what I mean? Very tenacious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think I think that's kind of what you got to be. You kind of got to be very tenacious. If you see that you're getting some success, you have to double down on that. You have to triple down on that.
Go
You have to
hard.
be like a dog with a bone. Just don't let go. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, especially nowadays, there's so many distractions. There's so many
So much
opportunities.
noise, yeah.
There's so much stuff you can be. There's always some guy coming to you with some new thing you should do with your life.
Yeah.
And I think I've been more kind of got the blinders on and
You're focused.
so that's kind of been my story.
Yeah. So now knowing you
Yeah.
in this part of your life, you've evolved and have sold many companies, and the ones that
Yep.
I know are very different than this layering photograph company.
They're all different.
All very different. So
All
you
different.
have not specialized in one vertical. You've taken on different. How have you done that? Was it very deliberate, or you just went with what you really believed in and happened to be different things?
Okay, so when I started in tech, there were very few startups.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't
Like
a trendy situation back then.
Well, it was
New.
like when I started in like if you go back to 1993, 94,
Yeah.
you go to Comdex and everybody would know each other.
Yeah, it was a
there'd
small
be
community.
there'd be like the guy who's doing the 3D software,
Yeah.
the guy with the calendar software. I mean, there wouldn't be 5 guys doing the 3D. There would be 2 guys doing 3D software.
It's a very
There'd be
tight-knit
Fred with the
community.
art stuff, and
Yeah.
there would be and so we all knew each other. It was a very, very small world.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably, I don't know if these numbers are accurate, but I would say 1,000 startups.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Now there's 1,000 startups in like Santa Monica. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
I'm talking worldwide. Like
Yeah,
there was
yeah,
1,000 startups.
Yeah.
So nobody was
incredible.
doing this stuff, and so So it's changed a lot, but the world changed a lot. The opportunities changed a lot. When I started, the game was software. So you had to shrink wrap software. You had to make the software. You had to get in distribution and CompUSA, Egghead. And
Get into their...
Yeah, get into stores, physical stores.
It was a
retail stores,
Yeah.
end caps and all this stuff, right? Yeah. Then the internet changed that completely, right? And software sort of died. You couldn't charge for software. Software was free. So then the internet came, and the game changed a little bit. And so, I'd sort of sold my first company right at the internet started, right? So we sold it to Macromedia in '95. The internet hit in '95.
Yeah.
Okay.
AOL and
Netscape.
modem.
Netscape was the big thing. That was the big thing that kind of got everybody's attention. Was 1995 Netscape browser came out, and everybody was like, I can surf the web.
Wow,
this
awesome.
is amazing. This is,
Yeah, I was in college. I remember seeing it.
And so
just
everything,
being blown away.
we were sort of like, okay, now we've got these, we being Macromedia at the time, we have these graphic tools and stuff, but everything anybody's talking about is now the internet. So how do we repurpose our company for this new thing, right? This internet thing.
Yeah.
So Macromedia ended up building this thing called Shockwave. You might remember the name.
I remember it.
And then they bought Flash.
Yeah.
And so then there was
That
all
was
these
everything.
Flash games,
graphics,
right?
games, yeah.
And then there was another technology around then that everybody was talking about, which was Java. So
JavaScript. Yeah.
Java. Before JavaScript, there was Java.
Just Java.
Just Java. That was a Sun Microsystem programming language that was designed to make web pages more animated and more like Flash, right?
Yeah.
So
More entertaining, more interesting
more
to look
dynamic.
at.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay.
So, well, basically, I got involved in Java, built one of the first Java companies, sold that company to another company. So it's I'd say it's very opportunistic. I have a good nose for where things are going. I can see them maybe. I can't say I see them 5 years in advance, but I can see them a couple years in advance. That there's something there.
Well, that brings us to
Crypto
and Linux, EOS Linux, which I know was
Lynx.
Excuse me,
yeah, sorry,
not Linux, Lynx, but that was an offshoot of you started another company a couple of years ago. So you got into this space
opportunistically.
So you got into this space opportunity. Why don't, before we get into what your company specifically is doing, let's break down, distill it down for us dummies. Blockchain, crypto. What is it? And why is it so important and relevant now? So let's just start with a little bit of history.
Okay, so a little bit of history is people have been working on these sort of magic internet money ideas for quite a while, right? And back in the 90s, there was a currency called Beans that Whoopi Goldberg was behind.
Wow.
And there was a bunch of other things. Yeah, there's a bunch of these kind of pre-cryptocurrencies.
Trying to figure out how
of like, I have these beans. I'm going to give you some beans, Danny, and I'm going to tip you some beans. And, some
digital
people were
currency.
trying to create digital currencies for quite a while, right? And a lot of them, and they all failed, right, for one reason or another, like they were hacked or something, right?
Yeah.
And so I think, and everybody basically had sort of given up on digital currencies. And then what happened is, in 2009, somebody who's unknown named Satoshi Nakamoto came up with a new approach to digital currency, right? And all the previous approaches had sort of said, well, I'm going to create a digital currency called Bank of Fred, and I'm going to issue these Fred notes, Fred bucks. And here, you want a Fred buck? Here's your Fred buck. And you can send it to Evan, and now Evan has your Fred buck. But I'm sort of keeping track of the Fred bucks, right? That was the previous iteration of these things, right? And the problem is if the central database get hacked, well, then
all goes to hell.
Everybody goes to hell. So how do you do this in a really autonomous, decentralized way? And Satoshi came up with this ingenious way of doing that, which is that basically there's these cryptographic codes, and there's this sort of giant world ledger of every single transaction.
Yeah.
And the transactions are entered into the ledger by solving these cryptographic puzzles called mining, right? And people compete for the mine, and then they win a little bit of a bonus if they solve the problem. It's called proof of work, And it's quite complex, but it works. It works. And basically the gist of it is, if I have a Bitcoin or a fraction of a Bitcoin and I give it to somebody else, okay, there's no way for me to ever get that Bitcoin back. And there's no way for the government to grab that Bitcoin. There's no way for anybody to get that Bitcoin. Whoever has the keys to the Bitcoin has the Bitcoin.
That's it.
That's it. That's the key thing. So it's censorship resistant. It's basically money that you cannot be, nobody can grab that money. And that's a fundamental new thing, right?
Yeah.
Because like if you have a bank account
sitting in a bank
and you have your money at Bank of America, well, guess what? If it turns out you're a bad guy, the government can freeze your account.
Freeze your assets.
Okay. If you're in a place like Nigeria, the government can just come steal your assets, right? I mean, not uncommon, right?
Steal your assets, or we don't like your politics,
Yeah,
and we're
exactly.
just going to shut you down and take your assets.
Right. So the idea that really you can control your assets in a really secure way is a new idea.
Yeah.
So that idea came out in 2009, and people sort of were like, well, is this even real money? Maybe it's not. I don't know what. So it didn't get big until really 2013. And then 2013, it sort of hit the mainstream, zeitgeist.
Yes.
And so people were like, well, there's this new crazy thing called Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, yes.
And this crazy thing, people are saying it might be worth something.
Yeah.
And it was worth about $200, okay, in 2013.
One coin?
One Bitcoin was worth, $200, yeah.
Yep.
And I bought some at around
200?
Yeah, about
Around-
200. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
right.
this is not like retirement money. This is like,
Play money.
fun play money. But, I'm like, now what am I going to lose? A couple $1,000,
Yeah.
I'm not.
You didn't go crazy.
Didn't go crazy, right?
Yeah.
I didn't totally believe in it, but I thought it was interesting,
Yeah,
right?
so you had to try it.
I had to try it. And then what happened is in 2014, basically the place where you bought your Bitcoin, which was called Mt. Gox, was hacked and it was shut down. And so basically everybody who had money at Mt. Gox lost all their money.
Crashed.
So everybody's like, oh, that's terrible. It's like this Bitcoin thing was just a terrible, terrible idea.
Yeah.
Let's write that one off as one of these bad ideas.
Yeah.
But then Bitcoin kind of kept on coming back, right? Even independent of Mt. Gox, it came back. And then, so the peak was 1,000, and then it crashed all. I think back down to 100, if I remember correctly, maybe even lower.
Yeah.
So then it sort of started coming back, and it again kind of hit 1,000, and then it crashed again. So that was sort of the thing. And then in 2017, January 2017, it made its third attempt to cross 1,000. Okay, it was.
Yeah.
If you go back and look at the charts, it was 1,000 in January of 2017.
Okay.
Now, at this point, there's another cryptocurrency that has started to come in, which people are talking about, called Ethereum.
Yes.
Okay.
Ethereum.
Ethereum is just another one of these cryptocurrencies, but added a new innovation. The innovation of Ethereum is that it was programmable. So you could have Ethereum apps, if you will, right? That could run on Ethereum. You could have smart contracts that could be programmed into Ethereum. Big advantage, right? So Ethereum took off like a bat out of hell.
Yeah.
And so in 2017, you had the sort of the nitroglycerin of Ethereum, and now people were rediscovering Bitcoin. And it went from 1,000 to 20,000 at the end of 2017. And everybody got in for all the wrong reasons.
Right, of course.
Okay?
That's when everyone jumps in.
Everybody jumps in.
Lee got jumped in.
Sarah
jumped in.
All the scammers
all
came in.
the dads at school jumped in.
Yeah, so everybody came in. And it really, actually, if you really look at the numbers, it was really only above 10,000 for about 2 months. Okay. Yeah, so everybody keeps on thinking 20,000, but it really was.
It wasn't long.
It really was October of 2017. It was 10,000. Then it went to 20,000, like for about a nanosecond, and then in January, February, it was back down to 10,000. So the reality is it actually has never really been that much higher than where it is right now in terms of months. Maybe 5 months of the year it's ever been much higher than 10,000, ever.
Is that where it is now?
It's 7,000 right now, right? So ballpark.
And it's worked its way up.
Well, I'll tell you what. So anyway, so that's the story of Bitcoin, right? Now, I got involved. I started getting very interested when I heard about Ethereum. Ethereum really interested me
because it's more practical and usable.
Because I was sort of thinking, okay, this sounds like something that we could potentially build things on.
Yeah,
commerce. Commerce is pretty good. Or selling goods or services, or maybe apps that use Ethereum in a smart way, even just machine to machine. Mm-hmm. I need to pay my gas bill, and maybe I have some account which just debits some other account every, and it's just paying them a little Ethereum, or my smart electric car is going to the smart charger and is paying the smart charger some Ethereum.
Rather than your banking.
Yeah. So basically, I sort of saw this thing as like, this crypto thing could be amazing. Now, Ethereum, while the vision was amazing, the actual implementation was far from amazing.
Meaning the tech behind it? What do you mean the implementation?
So the way it was built is it was not scalable. It was very slow. It got bloated. It became expensive, slow. It just didn't work, right? It still doesn't work, right?
So basically, as it scales, it implodes, so to speak. You can't.
Well, it never even
slows down.
It never. Basically, it was slow always, but everybody was like, "Well, we're going to fix it," and then it was no, it's not. You're not going to. In fact, it's getting worse.
Got it. So fatal flaw.
Fatal flaw in the design of Ethereum.
Yeah.
Fatal.
Yeah.
And to the point right now where they're like, okay, we've got this new Ethereum. Trust us. 5 years later, we got this new solution.
New thing.
But it's at this point, everybody in the crypto world, other than the Ethereum diehards, are sort of
skeptical about it.
Very skeptical as to you have no credibility of delivering software that actually works. So.
But they've proved that you could tie it to apps and that there's good applications.
They didn't prove any. They proved that yes, you could sort of do it. And that there was a hope there, right? Now, this next iteration, I call it the third generation, was done about a year and a half ago, came out about a year and a half ago, and it's called EOS, right? So EOS basically cut some corners, and they sort of said, you know what, we're not going to make this thing as completely decentralized as Ethereum or Bitcoin, but we're going to make it super fast, right? So it's going to be very fast and very, very cheap, right? So I want to send $10 worth of crypto from A to B. 2 seconds later, you have it.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
And what percentage? What would be the fee? So we have some context.
0.
How could that be? How could there be no cost? What's
the money? Does it cost anything to send a little bit of information over the internet? No, nothing. You know what I mean? So it's I'd say essentially 0, because the way that EOS works is you actually have to stake some EOS in order to get this 0 fee.
Yeah.
Which is yet another problem. But basically let's just call it de minimis, right? There's very, very low, minimal cost, right?
Wow.
So that seemed very, very promising for us, right? So when EOS came, we were like, okay, we are going to be now, let's start developing. We had this sort of freelancing type app that we had built, and we were like, let's get this app working on EOS. And then EOS came out, and we realized, wait a second, even though it's faster, okay, really fast, okay, and scalable and cheap, there's all these other issues with EOS in terms of it doesn't even have a user interface. So what are we going to do? So we were like, okay, I guess we should make a wallet for EOS, because
so that's the opportunity.
That was it just sort of came randomly. It was almost like more terrifying because we didn't know anything about wallets. So we were like, do we really want to build a wallet? How that's a lot of responsibility. Do we want to do it? And it was sort of like, okay, if we don't do it, we're kind of out of business, because we need this programmable wallet in order to get apps and the wallets. So anyways, we built this wallet. The wallet was very successful, is very successful.
And just rewind
Yeah.
Basic terms, what is the wallet?
A wallet is where you actually hold your cryptocurrency, right? So
you have to have a wallet.
You need a wallet, I mean, to interact with the blockchain, right? So if I'm going to send you some crypto, I have to have the crypto in my wallet, and I'm sending it to your wallet, right?
Got it.
That's basically it.
And there was no wallets for
nothing for EOS. Really, and in really that would work for us, right? For an app, and so we started working on that, and we built this very successful wallet, and successful in crypto terms, right? Mm-hmm. Not in like relative to like Instagram or you know.
Yeah.
So the crypto community adopted this wallet, and but then we were like, okay, how can we actually get this thing to where we want it to be more mainstream adoption?
Yeah,
and
sure.
you know, because my typical audience is people in crypto. They all know me in crypto, but outside of crypto, nobody knows anything, and most people don't have crypto. I mean, I think it's about 5% of Americans at this point
5%,
who own crypto, period.
Yeah.
And of those 5%, 4.9% own some crypto in Coinbase, and they just basically bought a 3-letter ticker and sent some money and
just to try it.
They're not using crypto.
Correct.
Right. So it's you're looking at a 10th of or maybe even 100% of the America's using crypto. So it's very low.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't be in this business if I didn't think
that it's
10 years from now, that number is going to be 50% of Americans. Like,
that,
I really honestly believe that it's going to be that ubiquitous of a technology.
It's the internet, so to speak.
It's like the internet.
In terms of one day no one had it, and
look,
within 10
back
years.
when I did the Fauve Matisse, the graphic stuff, I remember seeing the first digital camera, and I was talking with a lot of smart people, and they were like, "Yeah, people aren't going to have these digital cameras."
Right.
Like every single American has a digital camera now, right, in their phone.
Yeah.
It's just like
that's part of it.
It's 100% penetration.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I mean, it was like the first one was Nikon Coolpix. It cost $1,000. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And there was probably 100 people who had them. It was like so. You can go from tiny to complete penetration, and it sounds crazy, but it's just like you watch algae grow, and it grows pretty quickly. Once it starts taking off, it takes off.
Yeah.
So, I think we realized that this blockchain itself, EOS, had some problems. So, what we've been working on over the last year is to really build a complete soup to nuts solution that actually doesn't involve the EOS, but we built our own blockchain. Okay. So now we have a complete solution which has our own blockchain, our own wallet, everything, soup to nuts.
God, it's all self-contained within one.
It's self-contained. So if you think about it like Apple, an Apple product, it's like, it contains a lot of things, right?
But it's an ecosystem of elements. Yes.
But it's all designed to be super easy to use for the consumer, right?
Yes.
So basically,
which is the key, right?
Right. So
to go mass scale,
we can't get to mass market scale if things are complicated.
Too complicated. Right.
People have short attention spans.
Right.
They need everything to work really well together. You can't say download 3 pieces of software, do this, do that, and it's not going to work.
Right. It's got to be one place, easy to do, easy to understand.
It's got to be as easy as Twitter or Instagram. Yeah. I mean, literally. Right. So that's kind of what we've now developed, and we're building that, and it's launching in January, which is it's our wallet but using our blockchain, right? And basically the premise is you come in, within 30 to 60 seconds, you come in, you have an account for free. It's no more difficult than signing up for Twitter.
Okay.
And you have a little bit of crypto, in your account. And you can earn more crypto by playing games. And the more games you play, the more crypto you get.
So there's a gaming element.
Yeah, it's free games.
But how do you have a business giving away money?
Well, I'm giving away crypto.
Okay.
And as it's become, since the crypto is created from de novo, right?
Yeah.
It's basically, imagine if, that's how Bitcoin grew, by the way. initially Bitcoin grew because you could come and you could just get some Bitcoin.
Earn some Bitcoin.
Yeah, and then just give it away. You could just get it. There was these Bitcoin faucets, and you could just, and nobody wanted it. So
Because it was worthless at the time? Or
almost. It was worth
a
pennies.
little more than worthless.
It
Like
wasn't
if you said
traded.
go here and you can get
It wasn't
10
traded.
pennies
It wasn't traded until
much later.
until a couple years out, right?
Yeah.
So it was just like there's these Bitcoins. How much is a Bitcoin worth? Well, I don't know. And there was this famous moment in 2010 where somebody actually ordered a pizza with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing that was ever
bought
with a Bitcoin. But the reality is these coins can have value, do have value now, and a lot of them have zero value. But if a coin is used and has a lot of use in an ecosystem, it has a lot of value.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing is like, can we take our user base now from this wallet? Okay. Can we take that, which we have a pretty loyal and strong user base from the wallet, and introduce now to these people our own cryptocurrency?
So you got to migrate them into
ours, right? And then have them basically be paid to invite all their friends in cryptocurrency, right?
Got it.
So
Yes.
the great thing about this is there's, like Bitcoin, there's 21 million of these Lynx coins, okay?
21 million in value or 21 million individual coins?
There's 21 million total supply of Lynx
Okay.
coins, ever.
Okay.
There cannot
Ever.
be ever more, right?
That's it.
Same as Bitcoin,
Yeah.
okay? Now,
Where did that come from? 21 million. Was there?
it was decided by this guy Satoshi Nakamoto.
That's
right?
it. He's-
Yeah. So it has.
Who no one knows.
But there was some. Just he wrote some discussion about how he came up with 21
Got it.
million,
So
but
probably way too complicated for me
it's
to get
it's just sort of like he had to pick some number. That ended up being the number.
So those 21 million coins could be worth pennies and they could be worth billions. It's just supply, demand.
So right now a Bitcoin's worth $7,000, and
Right.
Bitcoin started out as being worth a penny.
Penny,
Okay.
yeah.
Now I'm not saying these Lynx coins are going to be worth $7,000.
No, but it's just like you don't
who
know.
knows, right?
Yeah.
So now with these Lynx coins, if you invite one person to join Lynx, you're going to get a Lynx coin. You get one. So you invite 10 people, you get 10 Lynx coins. Okay, so you
now
can
there's-
earn these Lynx coins just by inviting people.
Yeah.
You play Alien Invasion. It's a game. Okay, and
get coins
you
for that.
blow up a few cities, you get some Lynx coins.
Yeah.
Okay, or fractions of Lynx coins. It depends, right? So, basically encourages people to come back to our
Use them, spread them.
spread the word, blah blah blah.
So where do they start gaining value?
So,
So the beginning stages, you're spreading
Yeah.
people with the coins. When do these coins and how would they
well, the game
start
they're
gaining
immediately tradable, right? So they're even tradable today, even though we haven't launched our.
And what would the value be based on?
So just supply and demand, like anything
Right.
else, like a house. What's the value of a house? It's whatever somebody will pay for
But
it.
there's
and
some
whatever
comps, there's some history, there's some.
Right.
So with currency,
with cryptocurrencies, there's also comps. Okay.
and you
there's-
compare it to other cryptocurrencies.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll give you some stats.
Yeah.
So for example,
This
so Bitcoin is worth $100 billion right now.
Okay.
Right. If you look at the
Total amount. and
total
their value.
amount, which is 21 million
Times
times
7,000,
7,000,
yeah.
right? It's like $140 billion, right? Roughly, right? So that's the market cap of Bitcoin, is 140 billion.
Yep.
Market cap of Ethereum is 16 billion.
Okay.
The market cap of EOS is 3 billion right now. Okay.
And those are the big three.
There's
three.
a few other ones. There's one called Ripple, which you may have heard of.
Yep.
It is worth about 10 billion. Then we start getting into Bitcoin Cash and a bunch of other ones. But yeah, those are the big ones, right? There's 20 of them that are worth more than $1 billion. Cryptocurrencies, and there's over 100 of them that are worth more than $200 million, $100 million.
And do they all go with this 21 million
Nope.
coin structure? Or
Some
they
of them
create
have a
their own
billion
structure?
market. Like EOS has 1 billion coins. Some of them have unlimited, but they're
it's just-
sort of hard to grow the number. So Everybody has something different.
And the supply and demand, how many people are starting to use it and how they're using it.
So that's the interesting thing, right? If you look at supply, okay, so I'm sorry, you look at usage, which I think is the main thing, right? Is if I'm investing in cryptocurrency, I want to go where people are using the cryptocurrency, right? So if you look at apps, EOS has now the most usage, but even that is very low. And, at its peak, it was about 50,000 daily users.
Okay.
Which is tiny, right? Think about it. 50,000 people.
Yeah.
50,000 people go to the Staples Center.
That are on these big apps.
Yeah, compared to like something like Instagram, it's ridiculously small, right? So, Ether had maybe 10,000 daily actives.
Okay.
These are not hugely active in terms of activity.
Yeah.
In terms of dollars moved, they're much bigger. So $1 billion a day plus goes through Bitcoin every day.
Big amount being traded or moved around.
Moved. So the average Bitcoin transaction is $10,000.
Okay.
Yeah. So the average person, when they're sending Bitcoin, they're sending a lot of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's not. They're not buying cups of coffee with Bitcoin.
Here, $10 here.
But it's a great way to to send, especially overseas, right? If you want to send money to China, how are you going to do it?
Yeah.
Or send money from China?
Yeah, you can't get it out right now. I know that's a big challenge
Yeah.
for a lot of the high-end real estate. The Chinese
Bitcoin.
buyers can't get it out, but they can get out Bitcoin or some other currency.
Right. So, and even when there's not necessarily, you can't get it out, but just try sending some money to
Taxes.
India. I mean, just the paperwork you're going to go through, to try to send some money to an Indian bank.
Yeah.
Let's say you have a buyer in Hyderabad, India.
Yeah.
How's he going to get money to pay for a condo on Wilshire?
Yeah.
It's going to be very difficult, right?
So he's doing crypto. Boom.
Right? He can
Open escrow. I can wire the crypto. Like, how is that working? And let's go do the real estate application, because I've heard a few.
Yeah.
Excuse us, the police are coming after us. I've heard a few big home sales that have done it.
Yep.
So let's walk through an example. There's a wealthy Indian buyer. He's buying the house in the hills for $10 million.
Yeah.
And
he'll put some Bitcoin into a Bitcoin escrow account. Okay.
So it's specifically Bitcoin escrow account.
It doesn't have to be Bitcoin, but let's just say it could be Bitcoin, right? Most likely, right? Yeah. He'll put some Bitcoin into a Bitcoin escrow account,
just like a regular escrow would put dollars into an account.
Sure, right? So, and the first thing is the house going to be sold for Bitcoin at a Bitcoin price, or is it going to be sold at a dollar price, right? The two are different, right? Because Bitcoin moves every day.
Yes.
So let's say it's a $7 million house, right? So that would be 1,000 Bitcoin.
Okay.
Okay. So you could say it's cost $7 million for the house, or it costs 1,000 Bitcoin. If you say I'm selling the house for 1,000 Bitcoin,
then
as long as the guy puts the 1,000 Bitcoin into the account, right? And then you have all the paperwork,
the normal paperwork,
right? Then the minute all the closing conditions are met, the escrow agent moves the 1,000 Bitcoin into the
wallet,
the wallet of the seller.
Yeah,
that's it. Done.
Okay, so that's incredible. But now let's go the other way.
Mm-hmm.
The seller says, "I want it in dollars."
Mm-hmm.
The Indian buyer, international buyer, can only send it in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So how does it transfer?
Is there a
transfer currency company?
Or? No, it's very easy.
Okay.
So basically, the buyer and the seller will agree on an oracle of truth for the final day of the close.
Yeah.
Right. So they'll say, "I'm going to use the coin market cap price of Bitcoin on the close." Okay.
So December 1st, whatever it is,
right?
Yeah.
And then the guy will have to have sufficient amount of Bitcoin in the escrow account to close on that date.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of saying, "I'm going to send you 1,000," I'm going to say, "I'm going to send you $7 million worth of Bitcoin on that day."
Mm-hmm.
So on that exact day,
whatever the amount is,
he might have to spend 1,151 Bitcoins. Right. Because the price of Bitcoin has gone down.
Or 900 if it went up. Whatever happened. Yeah.
Which is, again, trivial to do.
Yeah.
From an escrow point of view.
Yeah.
And the paperwork's simple. Everything's simple.
It's simple.
It's very simple. So, are things more likely to be done this way? I 100% think so. That's why I tell everybody in real estate, you probably don't need to worry about this tomorrow, but it's coming your way. You know what I mean? It is definitely coming your way as crypto adoption gets bigger and bigger and bigger, as people, foreign buyers come in. It's
God, it eliminates so much red tape in administration for people trying to move money overseas or here, get it in and out. I mean, it's just
so that's
just one industry and one specific niche.
Part of that's not even the whole thing with industry. So with real estate, because there's all these other costs that have to be paid, everything from title insurance to all this other stuff, and all that stuff eventually is going to be paid in crypto too. All right. So basically you can have, if this closes, then pay the title insurance, then pay this person, then pay this inspector, and you can have all that stuff be cascaded and be completely automated quickly. Automated. And that's really probably where this stuff's going to be going, let's say 10 to 20 years from now. Yeah. So, once you get sort of the automation side of the real estate thing, really, because this stuff's very antiquated. I bought a house 5 years ago.
It's
and
terrible.
It's just, sign this thing, or DocuSign.
Thank God we have DocuSign. But
you have DocuSign, but you're still not
antiquated. Yeah.
It's still, you got these random people who are part of the process who have to get paid and this and that. And so, I think all that's going to be a lot more, all this stuff's going to be a lot more automated. And so it's going to be, you do this, you do that, this person get paid, that person get paid, this thing happens. And so that's the power of sort of electronic money, really,
Right. So as it becomes or evolves to mass scale, how does government regulation, taxation, all the typical things we know on our current monetary system, how do those apply? And obviously a big part of crypto, from what I've heard, is a lot of black market moving stuff around. It can't be tracked. But how does it, as it goes mass scale, how do governments regulate or tax?
So the good thing is the good thing from the government perspective is when you're dealing with something like the blockchain, right, it's, in theory, you have access to every single transaction.
The whole ledger is...
The ledger's out there, right?
It's transparent.
Transparent, right? So it should be much better for taxation, right? Imagine that.
But it's not anonymous, so it's like the ledger doesn't have, this person is anonymous. You can track, or at some point it will evolve into that.
So it's anonymous in the sense that there's nothing on the Bitcoin ledger that says Danny Brown.
Yeah.
Okay? Nothing, right? However, if somebody knows that you control this hash key, they can see all the transactions that's ever happened. From, where did you get that Bitcoin? Who gave it to you? Who gave it to that person? Where did that come from?
So they'll be able to get into someone's key.
Well, you have to tie the person to the key.
Yeah.
Right? Which is not that difficult, really, because if you think about it, unless somebody just gives you Bitcoin, if you buy it on an exchange, okay, at some point there's going to be an originator of that Bitcoin. So, if you own crypto, where did you get that crypto?
Yeah.
Okay. So somebody gave it to
traced.
you. So there's you've got a trail, and it ends and starts and ends at these exchanges, which are now being pretty heavily regulated. Okay?
They are.
But I think we're in the early phases of this. I think it's sort of like the internet itself. When the internet itself came out, people were very worried about, wait a second, we're going to be giving these chat rooms that, these terrorists are going to be plotting,
child
these illegal
and all the negatives.
They did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They absolutely used those chat rooms to plot the World Trade Center and everything else, right?
Yeah.
However, we also got Amazon.com. We got, we got
everything else.
Expedia. We got,
we've online banking, Google.
We got everything, right? So it's sort of like technology can be used for bad things.
Of course, like everything in life.
All technology falls through this pattern, you know?
Yeah.
I think when they first came up with
because it's human beings, right?
First came up with the Industrial Revolution, they were like, this stuff's going to put out the tailors out of business. Okay, well.
Right.
And yes, it did, but it didn't mean that that society failed for that.
It's
We're
not
much
the end
better
of
off now
society.
with
So
technology. So
the big argument, or I don't even know if it's an argument, the debate of, okay, what banking as we know it, is it as it migrates more and more to blockchain, does that mean Bank of America is going to have their blockchain and Wells Fargo and banking is just going to be merged with blockchain?
Sort of, right? So I think if you look at what is the number one thing that blockchain threatens? What's the number one activity that blockchain threatens?
Banking.
Not real estate, it's banking, right? And there's and it really is interesting because if you look at millennials in particular, right? They did some surveys. Okay, the surveys.
Goddamn millennials!
And basically, the survey is: what would you prefer, going to the dentist or going to your bank? And most people say dentist.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, most people are like.
Yeah, you get some laughing gas. That's why he likes the dentist.
So people. So this is this trend on millennials, right? They absolutely don't like banks. They don't like going to the banks. They don't like sitting in front of the teller or the guy
banker
saying, "Let's talk about your account." Yeah. They want access to their money
immediately,
and the other thing is they want freedom. Freedom becomes a really important thing. They're mobile, right?
Yeah. You want to have your money with you,
and they want to go live in Thailand
Fiji,
for a month,
Thailand, wherever
whatever
you are.
it is, right? So the ability, the idea that you're tied to a mortgage, negative for a lot of millennials.
Yeah.
They don't want to be paying a mortgage every month.
Right.
They don't want to be signing a lease for their office. They like WeWork. You know.
Yeah.
So the freedom aspect of this thing is important, and so if as an asset class for millennials, crypto is perfect, right? It's a perfect asset class because it allows
no red tape.
They can leave. They can do whatever they want. They can take they can take their crypto with them. They have their wallets. They have everything. So, I think and I think if you look at kind of the, there's a great analyst, Wall Street analyst named Tom Lee, who talks about this a lot. You can watch his videos, and Tom Lee, I know him, and his thesis is all this stuff's demographically based. So if you go back to my dad's generation, right? Mm-hmm. My dad's generation, his dad came out of the Great Depression, right? So these guys, my dad's generation, it was all about commodities, gold. They're all gold bugs. You know what I mean? Guys who are 80 now, they're all gold bugs. They're all
own gold,
own gold, right? Then you get my generation. We're more kind of like stocks, right?
Blue chip stocks.
You know what I mean? So we're all buy the S&P 500, buy the Dow. You know what I mean? That's kind of
high yielding, safe.
Right. So then the next generation, which is Gen X, right? Gen X are all about growth tech stocks.
Yep.
So they're not interested in Exxon. They're interested in Facebook.
Google,
they're interested in Google. They're interested in Netflix, right?
Yeah.
So that's their infatuation, right? So that generation peaked about a year ago. Okay, year or two ago, Gen X peaked. Okay, and so you have this. Gen X is like they got all the money right when, and they pushed all the valuations of these tech stocks way up. Right, Amazon, Apple, everything.
Yeah, all this.
Now the next generation is the millennials.
Yeah,
much bigger in terms of numbers than Gen X. There's a big generation. Okay, there's a lot of millennials, right?
Yeah.
And they're not so interested in stocks generally, okay? Crypto is of interest to them. They are interested. They're not necessarily sold on it yet, but they're interested in it. They're definitely, if you do surveys of millennials,
and you can see why.
They're interested,
Yeah.
And they're also interested in RVs, because they, RV sales are at the all-time peak,
right?
Which is crazy because they're also interested in the environment, which RVs are
awful,
terrible, right?
Get a green RV.
RV sales are the highest they've ever been, right? So
isn't that phenomenal?
So his point is, look, he thinks Bitcoin's going to 1 million, okay, and his argument is it's going to be we're just starting to see the millennials get into their own. My generation will die. I will die. my generation will die. The next generation is not as big, and they're already going to the minority.
Yeah.
So this next generation could be the catalyst for huge gains in crypto.
Makes total
So,
sense.
I guess overall, I would recommend. I think it's probably that alone is a compelling enough reason for everybody to try to own some crypto. And I would say own Bitcoin, right? If you're going to own just one,
That's the S&P of
that's
currency of
that's
a
it.
Bitcoin.
So,
Bitcoin. So buy
and look,
it.
there's only 21 million people ever who can own a Bitcoin. I own a Bitcoin. You know what I mean? So I'm one of the 21 million, you
Yeah.
know?
So I can buy one coin from you for 7,000 or from somebody.
You can buy it from Coinbase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
7,000.
$7,300 as of today. You know?
There you go.
Yeah.
And I own a coin.
You can own a coin.
That thing goes to $1 million. I'm celebrating.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, I think it's, it could be complete. It could go back. The lowest it's been. It started this year at 3,000.
Yeah,
so
right.
it's actually gone up 100%
plus,
this year,
yeah.
right? And it's been as high as 13,000 this year. So it's down again. It's very, very volatile, but.
But the argument of if it penetrates mass scale and this becomes over
so
5,
I don't
10
think
years.
Bitcoin will penetrate mass scale because Bitcoin is too difficult to use,
Got
right?
it.
So
something else is going to. That's where you come in.
yeah, look,
Something
I think,
will be more user friendly, and
Yeah.
something is going to go mass scale, and
yeah.
it's going to
So
be
I
the new,
think my thinking is
like beta and VHS.
yeah, more. I think the best way to think about it is Bitcoin is gold, right? Now, I own some gold. I don't know if you own any gold, like
Yeah.
physical gold, right? But it's in a vault, a safe deposit box, right? I don't look at it very often. I don't use it at all.
No.
You know what I mean? I've never used it ever.
You didn't
know what
walk
I mean?
it in to go buy your last car.
Right.
A
It's
bar
not
of
like,
gold.
here, thanks for the coffee. Here's a little bit of gold.
Gold.
It's like, so it's completely useless for microtransactions and everything else, right?
Yeah.
Last I checked, apps don't accept gold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to play Fortnite and buy some skins using gold. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So, like, it doesn't work, right? So, gold is useful, but I think the bigger story is what about crypto for the rest of us?
Yeah.
What about crypto that we can use just for things? Imagine micropayments.
Everything.
Micropayments.
Sandwich, coffee, this, that, everything.
Well, except I think much bigger than sandwich coffee. Sandwich coffee, that's pretty well handled, right, by your Visa credit card, okay? Yeah. What's not handled by your Visa credit card very well is apps, okay? So when you're dealing with buying things that are in app or interacting with something on the internet, right? Mm-hmm. If tipping you is a matter of, let's imagine I'm on Instagram and I like your post. I go click, 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 and now you have a little bit of money. Okay, that's very cool, right? Now,
wow.
If I can say, you know what, Danny, I want to buy, or Fred, I want to buy an hour of your time. Click, send you that, boom, done. Okay. That's cool, right? So these small transactions that are fast. If I'm going to whip out my credit card and put it in to tip you 10 cents,
yeah, no thanks.
Absolutely not, right?
Yeah, right.
So crypto is ideal for that, right? Yeah. And think of it, the absolute thing that it's ideal for is games. Games, okay? We all love to play games. 60% of Americans play games. It's not even a male thing, okay? Male, female, and men play different games, but we all play games.
Yeah.
Women play more casual games. They like solitaire a lot more.
Yeah.
Okay? Do you play solitaire? Okay, there you go.
Wasn't that
right?
part of iWin? Solitaire was
our number one game.
Games,
right?
Yeah.
People love solitaire.
They still love it. My kids love it.
They still love solitaire. Yeah. Okay, go to a flight and go to sit in
Everyone's
a waiting room and watch how many people are playing solitaire. Yeah. Okay, so one thing we realize at iWin is people will play you have two choices. You can play solitaire and not win prizes, or you can play solitaire and you can win prizes.
More fun to win prizes.
Absolutely, right? I would like to win prizes. So what if I told you could play solitaire and win crypto?
Sweet.
You say, now that's a great value proposition. I think most people are like, So you're telling me I don't pay anything? Yes. Okay. And I can win crypto? Yes. And if I solve my solitaire puzzle really fast, I can win a lot of crypto? Yes.
Yeah.
I'm in. Okay. You know, like
sold.
Why not? Right. So that's really cool. So I have a 12-year-old, right? And, you know, if I said to my 12-year-old, how about I could get you one of these custom skins for this new game that's signed by Ninja? He's like, are you kidding me? Like, I will do anything.
Coolest thing ever.
Yeah, coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I want one of these custom.
Yeah.
And I go, you realize that, you know, there may be 10,000 of these things, whatever, because I need it. I, you know, and, you know, so the idea of having these virtual goods, right, that are they're virtual, they don't exist in reality,
can't
right?
touch it, but
you can't touch it, but you can use it in the game.
In the game,
right?
which is part of your life experience and
So,
entertainment
like,
experience.
I, for example, he's obsessed with like Gucci. You know, like
good taste.
Good, you know, he loves Gucci. Whatever. He has one Gucci thing, which is a Gucci T-shirt, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, if I could get you a pair of Gucci loafers in the game, in Fortnite, would you pay how much would you pay to own Gucci loafers in Fortnite? He's like, a lot. Yeah, like I think I would take all my savings and put it into buying the Gucci loafers in Fortnite, right? So the idea that you could get these items, and if you think about it, is that any more crazy than me walking over to Gucci and buying them in real life?
For $700?
Is it really? I mean, it's not if you're spending 7 hours a day in the game.
Yeah.
You know, and if everybody's looking at you and they go, oh, you're the cool kid with Gucci loafers, you know.
That.
So it's, you know, we you know, this is a
mind-blowing,
you know, expensive jacket, right? But it's sort of like, I feel better when I have it. If I play the game and I feel better because I have this cool jacket,
same concept,
same deal, right? Yeah. It's just that we're living our life differently. Yeah. We're living our life more online in these
digital
games,
realm. Yeah,
right. So virtual goods already are big. You're going to be so much bigger.
Oh my god.
Okay, and basically all these virtual goods and blockchain are like a match made in heaven, right? Because now I get this virtual thing. And I buy it, and I get 2 of them, and I want to sell one, or I'm over it. You know, that was cool last year, but I'm over it now. Like, I want to sell this, and I want to get one of these new Gucci loafers. You know,
could sell your virtual jacket.
I could sell my virtual jacket
and go buy virtual
loafers. Yeah, absolutely, right. So now I'm going to be selling. So now there's this eBay for virtual goods, right? Which I'm basically
a whole other business,
which is like, you know, I got. You know, man,
marketplace.
I snagged some great sneakers on this.
You can get a watch. You can get anything.
You can make money. You can get guys get rich just trading
there. Yeah,
you know. So this is an activity this is like going to be a whole economy,
whole
industry. We're seeing this already. We've seen it with really early things like Second Life, right? Second Life, there's an enormous amount of activity that's happening on Second Life.
Remind me what that is.
It's one of these virtual worlds where you can kind of come in
and just spend your life there.
Yeah,
every
it's
day,
like it's kind of like Minecraft, you know, type thing. You know, you're just in
this
the
world doing all these different things.
You know, you have these people who are tarot readers, and they do, you know, they have this currency called Linden dollars, and you know,
unreal.
But
this is what our kids are doing.
This is not going to be the exception. This is going to be the norm. This will be the absolute norm of, and if you see kids playing Fortnite today, that game is only a year and a half old. Yeah. Okay. That game is, it's immersive.
The iterations.
It's immersive, right? Wow. You know, the 2 things that people wanted for Christmas last year were V-Bucks and crypto. Those are the 2 things. Like, so I'm just saying, like, we are at the very beginning of something. And you know, there's a lot of obstacles, right? Legal, a lot of other things, right? Figuring out, making this thing mass adoption it's challenging because like most of the people in crypto are not consumer guys like the people who built Fortnite. You know, most of them are just tech nerds. Yeah, and you know, we haven't had these consumer solutions yet that have, you know, sort of changed the way people think and people approach this stuff. I think we're going to have the first one. Incredible. I think when you look at Lynx in January, not long, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you're going to come in and you're going to be like, well, that was so easy. I went, I created an account, and we got some friends on there. I started playing some.
How would I get it? Would I get it? Go to the App Store, or I go to the I go to App Store and I get
you go to the App Store. So there's
I get
less
Lynx.
things I can do on iOS than on Android. So we have a desktop version that you can download.
Yeah.
The iOS puts limitations on some of the things we can do.
Yeah. But you download it, you have it,
very easy.
and boom, you're in business in January. You can
Yeah,
start.
so that's just sort of the general setup, So, if we can start consumerizing this crypto, I think you'll be surprised at how many people start using it, and then it's
makes sense.
Then
Makes
we
sense.
start. Then you start. Then I think you're going to start getting into different applications, and people are going to be like, well, let's see, I like the general game thing here, but I want to build this thing for my real estate business or for some other business, or there's a lot of different
so many applications.
There's a lot of different applications,
Big,
but you
small,
got to
everything in between.
You got to get started with the killer apps, right? And so if you look at the killer apps of the internet, email was one of them, right? That was one of the things that everybody
changed the world.
That changed the world, right? Because everybody felt like, oh, I can email Danny. Well, that's useful, Even back when it was CompuServe, people were like, that's useful. I don't know about the rest of the stuff. There's website stuff. I don't want to make a website.
Yeah.
People still don't want to make websites, But email was one of the killer apps, and then social became one of the killer apps, right? And Evan and I had this thing called TagWorld.
TagWorld, yeah.
And we were sort of right in between MySpace and Facebook,
Yeah.
And
That sold to Apple?
we sold it to MTV.
MTV. Yeah,
Right.
Viacom.
And so, it wasn't really 100% clear how it was going to evolve. It wasn't clear that Facebook was going to win, at the time. It wasn't, but it was clear that the stuff was addictive, that you could definitely see, okay, I want to spend time on this site.
Yes.
It's like, I'm not even sure I should be, but
It's entertaining.
it's
addictive,
entertaining.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like crypto, we got to get it to where it has that same time wasting phenomenon.
Yeah.
Right. That you want to go to Lynx and just waste time
And it's entertaining.
and get entertained, play some games, win some crypto, lose some crypto, have fun.
Yeah.
That's sort of the goal. Can we
Yeah.
build that? And
that seems to be the next
that's the
18 months, like this next iteration.
next 12 months. I'd
12
say,
months.
I think if we don't have, we have 70,000 people who paid for our wallet right now, right? So it's a paid wallet. If we don't have 1 million or plus people by June who are like using this new crypto thing, I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Well, if you're going to bet on anyone, you bet on you, Fred.
I have to
Fred
bet on
Krueger.
myself. Like I'm not, and I don't have
I'd bet on
100%.
you. I'd all in. If you
But,
say it's
look,
good. Lynx, baby, Lynx.
It's going to be cool. So maybe I'll come back or something.
Let's hear it in 6 months.
You'll just come in 6 months and we'll see
Right.
see if this thing panned out or not. We'll see.
So before we wrap up, I always like to get people's advice. So you come from your world and your experience. What are some? You said tenacity and work ethic and stick-to-itiveness, but what are some of your lessons you've learned through selling 9 companies and grinding every day? If you were passing it on to a younger Fred, you were talking to you just coming out of school, what are some advice or some things that you think are important?
I think I would say, this is not just me saying this. I think Warren Buffett said this too, which I think is actually pretty good advice. Is sort of follow your own compass, not somebody else's. I think that there's a lot of people who basically get too distracted by what somebody else is telling them to do or what.
Yes.
And I think it's a really good idea to make up your own mind as to what what's important to you, and to figure out where you are relative to that goal. And not relative to where you are relative to where somebody else says you should be, or so. I think just
great advice.
picking
That's so
your own
important.
thing is really key. I've had a more of a kid-like approach to this thing. So even even though I'm in my 50s, my wife thinks I'm probably 5, because like I'm, I don't take this stuff too seriously. I have a more of a, to me, it's a game, and I like to think, okay, I'm fortunate in enough position that I can take some losses and do stuff, but I think you got to be willing to lose if you're going to make, right? And a lot of people are just looking to make, they're not looking to, they're too risk averse. And so especially young people, and I'll just close with this. There's one young guy who used to work for me. I think the guy was 25. He was a designer. I liked him a lot. This kid, and he was very good. And then I saw him once. He was spending all his time on his IRA, and I was like, "Why are you wasting so much time on your IRA? You're 25.
25.
You know what I mean? Like, you should be, I know you're trying to figure out whether you should be putting $150 this month or $300 or whatever, but like
Facebook, Netflix,
reading all these, articles to optimally adjust your thing
from 4% to 4.5%.
It's like, it's not going to matter. You know what I mean?
It's
like
not moving the needle.
It's not moving the needle, and you need to take some wild ass crazy bets at your life,
At that stage. Yes.
At that stage, and, make some good bets, but, that the time to do that is when you're 65. You know what I mean? And you're sitting there and you're really just, now should I go to Denny's, or maybe there's a, blue light special somewhere else. I could save $5, but
so take risks. Don't be afraid to take risks.
Should be, I think it's a good idea if you're, especially below 30, right, to be a little bit more risk prone, because it's just going to get much more difficult. When you're 40, 50, your ability to take those risks and recover is going to be much less.
Yeah.
So I'd say if you're 20, just do whatever just be completely crazy. Start a company. Don't worry about it going bankrupt. Doesn't matter. Do whatever you want, right? Take a lot of risk.
Yeah. Learn
even in your 30s, I would say take a lot of risk. Yeah. And I would say the other thing is, don't. A lot of people prematurely think of themselves as old, as I'm old. Yeah. You know what I mean? I remember when I was 30,
thinking you're old.
That is it, man. I'm done. I'm a has-been. I've been a dinosaur.
Isn't 50 the new 30?
It's sort of any age. I mean, it's sort of, you can subject to your health and your resources and everything else, you can do stuff at any age, really.
It's a mindset.
At this point, you pretty much can. Yeah. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And the world is sufficiently connected, and there's so much opportunity. Yeah. You could start a company at 70. I mean, it's like, you could. Right. If you've got the stamina and everything else for it, you could do it, know? So I just, people who give me this I saw somebody on Facebook post, I hit 32. It's rough. I'm like,
you're
what?
A baby.
What?
Are you kidding me?
I was like, what's rough about that?
Yeah. You could fail 10 more startups and fail. Well, I think that's probably a huge part of your success. You've taken a very different approach to it.
Yeah. And I just think that's, you can't take anything too seriously anyways, because you're not taking it with you.
Yeah, that's true.
You are not taking it with you.
Not coming with you.
It goes pretty quick.
Yeah.
So
you only live once. It's not a dress rehearsal.
I mean, I do think you should go for the gold ring, though. I mean, look, you should try to make a lot of money. It's good.
Go for it.
Yeah. If you lose it, so what?
Learn the lesson, move on.
Move the lesson, move on, and well, that's about how deep I get, which is not that deep.
Well, I'm excited to get some Lynx in January. Thank you.
I'd love to have you in the Lynx ecosystem. You can, maybe we'll have these we'll have a online version of this, inside of Lynx.
I would love it, and if there's anything,
we'll bring you back in 6 months for Lynx podcast inside of Lynx.
I would love it.
And people can tip you and
please tip me. I will take it. But you're a brilliant guy. Thank you for sharing and breaking it down
on the deal.
Have a good weekend.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to The Deal. I'm Danny Brown, and if I don't talk to you soon, see ya.
Cause I did it my way, nothing y'all can say. In this life or the next one, watch me, I'ma be the best. I am what I am today, cause I did it my way, nothing y'all can say. In this life or the next one, watch me, I'ma be the best.
Hey, thanks again for Fred Krueger coming in over the holidays, making this happen before his launch, breaking down blockchain and the future of everything. You can find Fred Krueger at Fred Krueger on Facebook. You can also learn all about EOS Lynx at lynxchain.io. Lynx spelled Lynx, chain.io. Get some coins, start playing games, start hiring people, all sorts of interactive things you can do there. It's the future, but it's happening now, and it is exploding. Thanks again. Our subscriber base is way up. We're streaming in 44 states now and 26 countries, so we appreciate it. If you like what you hear, let people know. Leave us a 5-star review and comment. Please also, you can take a screenshot of the podcast and put it in your story on Instagram or Facebook. That helps us a lot too, get more listeners. We appreciate you following us. Talk to you soon.